Are your gardening tools looking a little worse for wear? Follow along and we'll bring them back to life so you can tackle those big jobs in the garden. I think most people would agree that sharpening the garden tools isn't all that high on their priority list. It's much easier to just chuck them in the shed and not give them a second thought until they're needed next. I'm a little different though. I love doing it. I just can't stand it when tools pinch, tear, or bruise the plant. Not only is it frustrating, but it's also damaging. Plus, sharpening tools gives me some time alone in the shed. There's not much better than the sound of clean, sharp blades crossing over each other. And the fresh, neat cut they give makes it all worthwhile. I start by cleaning the tools. There are many different spray-on products out there. Just spray on, wait a few minutes, and the sap and grime build-up will wipe straight off. You can also soak the blades in household vinegar for an hour or two, as this will help remove it as well. If there's some stubborn sap or rust, you can use 400 grit wet and dry sandpaper dipped in water, wet steel wool, or even a wire brush to get rid of those pesky bits. I also check the bolt and spring mechanism. There should be no movement when I twist one handle while holding the other still. If there is, it means the bolt needs to be tightened slightly until there is little to no movement. There should be the smallest amount of resistance when squeezing the handles together. If the tool has a spring, I take it out and either soak it in vinegar or give it a good spray and wipe it down. If the spring has any dirt or grime in it, then it may not allow the pruners to retract properly. It's important to know what type of pruners you have so you can sharpen them correctly. Bypass pruners, like these Hoselink secateurs, have blades that bypass one another. They give a much finer, cleaner cut. With these pruners, you only need to sharpen one side of the cutting blade. Anvil pruners, like these Hoselink ratchet pruners, have a blade that cuts down onto an anvil much like a knife cutting down onto a breadboard. They are often used on larger branches as they are stronger than bypass pruners. With anvil pruners, you need to sharpen both sides of the cutting blade. If you have an all-in-one sharpening tool like this little beauty from Hoselink, then it makes life a lot easier. For the bypass pruners, place the base of the blade in the single-sided sharpener and swipe the sharpener away from your body 3 to 4 times. They may need a few extra swipes if they're well overdue for some love. Once the blade is sharp, turn the pruners over and use the metal honing bar on the side of the sharpener to knock off any burrs. I also give the other blade a little going over while I'm here too. Then go over the whole lot again with the ceramic honing bar on the other side of the sharpener for a finer finish. The Hoselink Sharpener also has a built-in oil well and applicator, so you can easily oil your blades to keep them running smoothly and prevent them from rusting. For the anvil pruners, put the base of the blade in the double-sided sharpener and swipe away from the body 3 to 4 times. Then repeat the same finishing process as you would with the bypass pruners. Another way to sharpen your tools is with a wet stone. I use a 1000 grit stone or a medium grit, but if you are doing it this way, you have to be careful not to nick yourself. So on the blade I'm not sharpening, I wrap it in a cloth and away I go. It's important to keep the stone wet. This ensures smoother, cleaner and easier sharpening. Place the blade on the bench and make sure it's nice and secure. Look closely at the angle the blade is cut and hold the stone as close to that angle as possible. Then rub the blade without changing the angle of the stone, making sure you are only putting pressure on the forward stroke and all of your strokes are as even as possible. If you're struggling to see where you've sharpened, you can mark the blade with a texter and then sharpen the ink off. This way you'll clearly see any areas you may have missed. When you're happy that your blade is sharp enough, if it's a bypass pruner, flip it over and knock off any burrs with a smooth stroke toward the cutting edge. Once all my tools are clean and sharp, I spray them with lanolin oil, making sure to get into all the little nooks and crannies and cover the blade's surface. This keeps them running smoothly and stops them from rusting. When I'm sharpening my tools, I figure I may as well do the spade and pitchfork while I'm at it. This may seem a little odd to you, but trust me, it will change your life. Digging holes and turning over soil with sharp tools is so much quicker and easier than with blunt tools. I like to get the angle grinder out with a grinding blade on. But if you don't have one, you can use a file and give it a few runs across each side. Whichever method you decide to use, make sure you then give them a little spray with lanolin oil and wipe off. Voila! And you're done. Now there are no excuses to have any blunt tools, and these tips will make your gardening so much easier and more enjoyable. The only downside is you'll no longer be the sharpest tool in the shed.